Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a movie from 1987 that has a small tie-in to a little bit of my childhood. You see, I am a child of the 1980s, and as a result of that, when I was a kid, I, like many other children from that time period, watched stuff like Thundercats and Transformers and G.I. Joe and Heman and other shit like that. And well, in 1987, the Canon Group decided to make a live-action adaptation of He-Man with Masters of the Universe. I would like to say that when I was younger, I happen to remember this movie running on one of our local television stations. This was probably about 20 years ago. I remember only seeing about 10 minutes of it. And I don't even remember what the fuck happened in those 10 minutes. So, yeah, this one's totally good for a reaction and review, because I have not the foggiest fucking clue what the hell I'm getting myself into. All I know is that it's going to somehow adapt one of the few shows from the 80s I happen to remember watching and not really caring for. In fact, if memory serves, I probably only watched about 8, maybe 10 episodes tops of He-Man when I was a kid. Because I usually spent my time watching stuff like Thundercats and Transformers and Silverhawks and Brave Star, stuff that didn't suck. So yeah, I'm already going into this one with just a little bit of bias, because frankly, the He-Man animated series, it just wasn't that good. But this movie might still have some sort of promise. At least I'm gonna hope so. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Masters of the Universe. Wait a minute. You guys can hear this, right? This opening song is totally a knockoff of the Superman theme. Like, almost, this thing, guys, is almost a painful knockoff. Jesus Christ. So somehow Skeletor is able to afford an army now with automatic weapons and a really badass looking base. I'm going to assume that between the series and now, he must have won the fucking, like, Eternian lottery or something. Well, hell, at least now he seems at least kind of threatening. My God, folks, I never thought that this could be possible. This movie has created a character more annoying than Orko could ever even have imagined. Good God, that is really accomplishing something when you can fucking create a character who actually makes Orko seem fucking pleasant, man. So Skeletor is sending a force to Earth to go look for He-Man. The only one of the 4 being sent who were from the original show was Beast-Man. I mean, I do happen to remember Skeletor having a rather large force of goofy-looking villains. It's like, they couldn't have just picked like 3 other ones at random to have put into this party instead of creating 3 rather bland-looking villains to be sent to Earth. Just seems kind of lazy, I guess. So Skeletor's forces are able to blow up microwaves from a long distance. That's really fucking cool, guys. Nice. Wait a moment here. I think I just spotted a plot hole. I could have sworn that Skeletor said that He-Man has to be there when the moon rises at Eternia in order for him to get all of the Sorceress's powers. If that is true, why the hell are his forces attempting to steal the fucking key and keep He-Man and his little party of dipshit friends trapped on Earth? Wouldn't that kind of sort of defeat his plan to have He-Man there when the moon rises so that he can get all his power? God damn it. That is one huge plot hole. I'm talking big enough you could fit a fucking jumbo jet through it. And I just noticed it. Holy fuck. Okay, folks. this movie has taught me something. If you are hit with what is essentially like force lightning, it's going to leave a real nasty looking wound and apparently make you feverish. You learn something new every fucking day, man. So, gaining possession of all of the powers of the sorceress turns Skeletor essentially into Shao Kahn. That's really fucking cool, guys. It really is. Wow. Well, movie ends as it started. This really awful, like, knockoff Superman theme thing. Just, I cannot be the only one who hears this and hears the Superman thing. Jesus God. Okay, let's stop that. Well, that was Masters of the Universe. Trying to figure out where the hell to start. Okay, I think I know where to start. I know the perfect way to start. Because a lot of people are going to complain if I don't mention this, because this is, after all, an adaptation. Loyalty to the source material. I am almost entirely convinced that the script that this movie was made out of did not start life as a He-Man script. I really do not believe that to be the case. It just seems almost like somebody had this rather interesting, like, science fiction story, this, like, really interesting, like, sci-fi script written, and the studio said, okay, we're going to need you to turn this into a He-Man script. Just cram in as many characters as you possibly can. At least 5 of them. And, well, they gave us 6. I was pretty close to my rough estimate. Wait, 7. Fine, 7 characters. Sue me. Because there's so much different between this and the show. However, I am one of those people who believes that loyalty to the source material is absolutely secondary to just whether or not the film itself is enjoyable on its own. Because I enjoyed The Mask. I enjoyed Dragon Ball Evolution. I enjoyed Judge Dredd. I've enjoyed a lot of films that took almost no cues from the source material they were attempting to adapt, and I still found them enjoyable. This film is no different. This film has a lot of problems going for it, but God damn it, it's just so fucking, like, lovably cheesy that I cannot bring myself to hate it. So, since I'm talking about the writing, why don't we continue with the writing? I still don't see why the hell evil-lyn and the rest of Skeletor's, like, army of really poorly done knockoff Storm troopers were trying to take the second cosmic key from He-Man, which would then have left him stranded on Earth if they needed him at Snake Mountain, so that way when the moon rises, Skeletor can take all of the sorceress's power. A lot of it is siphoned onto He-Man whenever he takes the form of He-Man. None of that was ever fucking explained. It's just kind of lucky that they were able to drag He-Man there in time. Beyond that, though, the writing is just, okay, the dialogue is just ridiculously corny. The setup is just stupidly cheesy. And all of that works for me because, damn it, that is my guilty pleasure, is just really cheesy, stupid movies. So yeah, I kind of sort of enjoyed the writing. In terms of characters, well, almost all the characters are just flat and lifeless. The only character I can truly say I despised was Gwildor, that irritating little fucking, like, dwarf thing, which, as I stated earlier, makes Orko seem almost pleasant. That's a huge accomplishment, to make a character who's more annoying than one of the most annoying characters in the history of 1980s cartoons. But they were able to pull it off, and they pulled it off in spades. And even then, I still wouldn't have them take him out, because just his sole fucking annoyance kind of helps enhance the film a little. It's really hard to explain. Another thing with writing, and this also is another bit of evidence that kind of helps support my claim that this thing didn't start life as a He-Man script, is that He-Man rarely uses his sword. There's like one of the big gimmicks with He-Man is all of his power comes from his sword. He uses his sword in order to transform from Prince Adam to He-Man. By the way, that never happens in the film either. He-Man is just He-Man. But he spends more time in this film firing off laser pistols than he does actually using his sword. He draws his sword in all of 2 scenes, and Dolph Lundgren apparently has never handled a sword in his entire fucking life because he is swinging it the way that I would fucking swing it, because I've never handled a sword in my life. So it's probably a good thing that they gave him a fucking gun instead. At least then he doesn't look like as much of a spaz whenever he's in the middle of action scenes. While I'm talking about Dolph Lundgren, let's go into the acting. Holy shit, Dolph Lundgren sucks at acting. It's like, this right here is the same guy who starred in the 1980s Punisher movie, and he wasn't even that bad in that. This thing, he was lifeless, he was wooden, his dialogue is just so minimal, and most of his dialogue, it doesn't even sound like he's talking, it just sounds more like he's grunting, like some kind of a fucking caveman. It's just almost a miracle you can kind of understand what he's trying to say. And then the flip side of that, since we had Lundgren just phoning it in as He-Man, we then had Frank Langella playing as Skeletor, and my God, does he ever ham it up. Now, I have talked about, hammy acting in the past, and there is such a thing as going too far and really ruining the film. Well, Frank here, hams it up so far that it actually snaps back and becomes decent again. Again, that almost never happens with acting. It's like the only other person I know who was able to ham up a performance that bad is when Max von Sydow played Ming the Merciless in the Flash Gordon movie, where he just hammed it up so fucking badly that it all kind of snapped, back, and he became awesome again. It doesn't happen often, but goddamn it really is cool when you see a film with it. Okay, makeup. I have to cover makeup, because makeup is a huge mixed bag in this film. Because, see, we look at characters such as Beastman, where it's just basically like Beast, like makeup, and it looks really good. Skeletor looks really awesome with the whole friggin' skull makeup look. In fact, almost everybody's makeup looks great except for the fucking midget. Gwildor, that little elf dwarf thing, the makeup on the actor, and the actor was Billy Barty, one of the greatest midget actors to ever live. They caked on so much makeup that he's barely able to move his fucking mouth. And that is kind of detrimental when he has to go in, he has to loop in all of his dialogue, and he's trying to match mouth flaps which look like they're coming from a hand puppet. It doesn't quite work out. So that character really doesn't come to life on the screen. Beyond that, though, the makeup is great. Costuming is really good. The lighting is solid. Effects are all really good, but that's partially because most of it's just the same kind of blaster effect you see in the Star Wars films. It's nothing ultimately special. While I'm talking about Star Wars, let's cover the music, shall we? I've talked about how the opening theme sounds a lot like the Superman theme, which is one of John Williams' more iconic songs. The entire score for this film, besides that, sounds almost like it basically sounds like songs that were cut out of Star Wars films. Again, the fucking composer, I believe his name is Bill Conti. Let me double check that. Yes, it is. It is Bill Conti. Yeah, they got the credits on the back of this thing. I'm going to assume that they hired him for this because his stuff sounds the most like John Williams' work, and they were just too cheap to hire John Williams. And instead of coming up with stuff that sounds a little bit, original, they just have stuff that sounds a lot like the Superman theme, and stuff that sounds a lot like the Imperial March. And it just feels really, really lazy in terms of scoring, so I can't really even give, that a pass. because it just feels basically like they just lazily tried to knock off a better composer's work. Oh, I forgot one other thing when it came to the writing. The ending kind of sucks. I should warn. The ending is just ridiculously cheesy, and, well, I kind of hated the fucking ending. And they also had this message late into the film, this message about how every single one of us are special in our own special way. It is the sort of thing which they were forced to shoehorn into the endings of fucking He-Man episodes in order to keep parents groups from bitching. Why the hell they felt the need to shoehorn it in here outside of just trying to put in some kind of a goofy, like, moral in there where no moral needed to be, I will never know. But hey, that, I guess, was something else to attempt to tie it into the show, was just try to ham-handedly cram in this fucking moral. Ultimately, if you are a fan of He-Man, you might not like this, because really, besides just a handful of characters and just a couple of settings, there's nothing here that ties it to He-Man that would actually be, reminiscent of what He-Man fans know and love. If you don't care about He-Man, or if you flat out hated the fucking show, you might actually enjoy this. Fuck, I mean, come on. He-Man is like one of those shows that I would watch as a kid out of pure boredom. And this thing's like 10 times better. However, that isn't saying much, because again, He-Man kind of sucked. But still, this movie's definitely worth checking out. And if you can find it on Netflix, if you can find it on Hulu, if you can find it on YouTube, if someone's uploaded it all onto YouTube, or if you go to like, or if you go to like a Walmart or a Best Buy or something, and they've got this thing sitting there for, say, like $5, go ahead, pick it up. It seriously would be worth the $5. However, you also have to be into cheesy, corny, like, B fucking movies. I mean, this movie is the epitome of cheesy 80s sci-fi kiddie films. It's like this thing, I mean, if anyone were to ask exactly how corny was sci-fi films in the 80s, you just gotta point to this and just say, just watch this. That's all you need to know. Now, Masters of the Universe came off the Amazon wish list. The person who sent in this movie is my friend Howard. You can find his YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/heavybassex. Howard, thank you. I never had a chance to watch this movie until now, and frankly, I'm kind of happy that I now own a copy. This is going to have a nice happy spot right on my DVD shelf, just because it kind of fits in with the, rest of my collection of cheesy, horrible, so bad it's good sort of movies. So yeah, guys, I kind of liked this one. So I'm probably going to have to watch this, thing again in maybe like a week. I really do want to watch it again. So, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.